Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get into it. Well, let's start with the evolution of the big fella and how he became the centerpiece of the offense, right? He's the guy who he stands closest to the bucket. Shaq, Jabbar, Olajuwon, Chamberlain. He's the guy who is the centerpiece of our offense. That's who he was. We ran the offense through him. And it worked. It worked for a number of years. I think up until 1980, the center position had the most league MVPs. So with that being said, how did we get away from that? Well, we got away from that because the influx of the Euro. The Euro came in, the 6'10", 6'11" guy who stretches the D, he shoots the long ball, he's handling the ball on the perimeter. And now everybody sees this, and this is the future of the game. So this is how the big man needs to play. Even though what the big man was doing previous to this was working just fine. But now we get away from that. So then here comes Tony Kukoc, Dirk Nowitzki, Detlef Schrempf, and guys like that. And now the big man is getting pushed away from the basket. And now we have a spread offense. And we're taking away from what was working and what was most successful. Well, last night, it seemed like somebody in the Milwaukee Bucks coaching staff in the meeting room raised his hand and said, hey, I got an idea, coach. How about we go inside to Brook? How about we get him close to the basket because they don't have anybody to cover him? How about we go inside to Brook and we get him the ball as often as possible and let him dominate? Turns out that worked. Now, is this a recipe for the rest of the series? I wouldn't exactly say that because I'm not expecting Brook Lopez to be 33-7 for the rest of the playoffs, but maybe we on to something here. In the 3 games that the Milwaukee Bucks have won, they've won the rebound battle, and they shot the same amount of threes last night or less in the 3 games that they've won, and they've gone inside more. That was the difference in the game last night. In addition to them coming out and bringing the fight to Atlanta, it looked like a completely different team last night. They were not on their heels. They were the ones on the attack. Everything was going to the basket. And not only was everything going to the basket, these guys were flying around on defense, switching, picking, popping, hedging on screens, chasing guys away from screens. Now, there are some guys who are just going to get their shots. I mean, this is pro basketball. This is basketball at the highest level. So guys are going to get their shots. And you have to make it as difficult as possible for these guys. And I think Milwaukee did that last night, particularly on the defensive end. And when you bring the fight to a team that's wounded, which is what could have very well happened in Game 4, this series could have already been over. Now, don't get me wrong, Giannis getting hurt, that took the wind out of their sail. But maybe that could have been avoided had the fight been brought to them right from the beginning. You bring the fight to them right from the beginning because you're going to get their best shot. You bring the fight to them and you withstand that, you break them. And this series would have been over last night. It would have been done last night. But instead, we got to go back to Atlanta, and I don't think Trey's going to go again. I think that I thought that ankle, he's going to try to go, but that ankle's pretty bad. He looked pretty hobbled yesterday on warm-ups. And I don't think 2 more days for him is going to help. I mean, he's going to get some treatment, but that ankle didn't look like it was nearly ready to go. Now, with that being said, Atlanta's got a lot of fight in them. They got a great coach in Nate McMillan who's not going to, at any point, let his team roll over. You saw them last night down 15 with 3 minutes left. They're trapping, and they're jumping the ball. So these guys aren't going to roll over. They're fighting for their lives. Absolutely. I love what Drew Holiday was doing last night. Most of the stuff that he had was going to the basket, and he was more aggressive than he's ever been in this series. He was aggressive in game 1 and game 2, but last night, he really took it upon himself to go after guys. Giannis isn't out here, and I really need to be more of the guy that I am. And he was that. Now, can I expect Milwaukee to have 4 guys score 20 in the game again? Let me be the first to tell you that any team that you play, I don't care who it is, especially in the playoffs, if they got 4 guys scoring 20, you have no shot in winning. I don't care who you are. You have no shot in winning. Because that's 4 guys that are going off. And that energy gets into the other guys. So I don't know if I don't expect them to go off again like that, but what I do expect is I expect that same energy tomorrow night at the beginning of the game. Because Atlanta is in an elimination game now. So the fight that they're going to have is going to be double what it was in game 4 when Trey didn't play. It's going to be double that because if we lose, we out. So Milwaukee has to know that. And I'm very interested to see how they come out and what they bring. Not just in terms of effort, in their arsenal. Do they stick with what they were doing last night with going to Brook Lopez and getting everything going to the basket and going after Clint Capella, who is a rim protector, who also is wounded, by the way, going after him? Do they stick with that? Because that seemed to work. Because like I just said, in the 3 games that they've won, they shot less threes, which means they had more stuff going to the basket, and they won the rebound battle. So, and Milwaukee gang rebounding. That's huge for them. So if that's going on, right? If that's happening, can Atlanta beat them? I mean, they neutralized John Collins as much as they could. They slowed down their attack going to the basket. I thought they did a great job at that, man. And if they could continue that, I think this series is over. I absolutely think this series is over. Now, switching to Chris Paul and, man, I didn't appreciate Pat Beverly doing that at all. I didn't. I thought that was really. I can appreciate the heat of the battle and getting upset, but Pat Beverly chirps constantly. He's a constant chirper. That's who he is. And Chris Paul walked past him after hitting that shot. And the best trash talk is eye contact and silence. He didn't say a word to him. But he said everything to him looking at him. Because that look basically told Pat Beverly, you finished. There's the door. We'll see you next year. You take care. And he didn't appreciate that at all. He could have really hurt him. But I like Phoenix's chances going into these finals. I do. If I can't bet on him, and I'm sticking to that. I can't bet on him because Chris Paul, he just scares me with his health. He just does. Now, even getting to this point, he just scares me with his health. He just does, man. And I can't bet, because at any point with him, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So I got to see it with him. I got to see it all the way. Once I see it with him all the way through, I'm on the hook. You got me. But until I see it, I can't bet on him. I just can't do it. Book wasn't as efficient as we would like him to be. Went, 10 for 26? So he wasn't as efficient as I would like him to be. But I really like his aggressiveness and sticking with it. And their defense, with Craig and Cameron Payne on that perimeter, I think Ayton's going to have a difficult time. Well, the good thing about Ayton, he's not going to have to deal with Giannis. I think Giannis is out for the rest of the playoffs, and he's not going to have to deal with Giannis. So that's a good thing for him. And I think that he would handle Capella just fine. I'm really interested to see what this Phoenix Suns team does, man. I'm really interested to see what they do. And I have to extend the congratulations to them because Monty Williams, I personally think that he was the coach of the year. Phoenix was 2 years ago. They were in last place in the Western Conference. They go from last place 2 years ago to in the NBA Finals. And Monty Williams doesn't get, even though he finished second in coach of the year, he's coaching those boys up. He's coaching those boys up as well as anybody has done. He keeps the fire in them. He keeps the fight in them. He keeps throwing out different rotations. And I think he's a really good X and O guy, especially after timeouts. I think he's a really good X and O guy. So I very well think that I think they can, but I can't bet on them just because of Chris Paul and his health. And until I see it, I'm sorry, guys, I can't do it. So we'll definitely get this back going. And it's good to see you guys. And I'll see you tomorrow.